In the world of Varen, there is a city called Tabernary that rests inside the castle or the kingdom of Navarre. There are 6 heroes that have gathered there in Tabernary, meeting up with each other, some locals, some outsiders, that found each other to become adventurers together. It was Hemlock the Fetchling, Galen the Thaumaturge, Agiri the Acolyte, as well as Yannick, the champion of Carahel, Jericho the Bard, and Dash the kineticist from Thave, a little Yosoki. In their adventures that they went through, Agiri found his end. He did not survive the entire thing, though this was his journey to kind of bring all of these heroes together. When we were recovering from mourning the loss of Agiri, we were met with a new adventurer who joined us by the name of Thawne. And these heroes together started not just adventuring, but also going on a quest to keep demons outside of Tabernary. There had been not just fear, but actual attacks within the town that had caused a need to build a new wall with magical projection stones to be put into them to protect the town of Tabernary from whatever these demonic attacks were. The heroes were sent to go out and get those stones and brought most of them back. We kept a couple for ourselves as we went, and for good reason as well, because when we returned back to Tabernary, we found that there were several demonic attacks that had been happening. Not just towards us, though we seemed to be targets of them more than a couple times. And in the pursuit of taking down the cultists that appeared to worship or bring the demons into the world, we found a portal that took us to where they came from, some level of hell. Thawne helped us guide the way with his demon claw that he carried with him, and Galen closed the door behind us when we ventured our way into Vestrath's lair of hell. We went into Vestrath's hell for several different adventures, and it took us a long time as we were questing through. We would often walk for miles and miles and hours, going one place to another. We first encountered a tower with a giant dragon who was held captive by Vestrath, and we ended up freeing her, and she gave us the opportunity to go home and to continue back with our lives. We decided instead to continue to venture deeper into hell, to go after Vestrath himself, after we were told that he had been weakened. As a part of that pursuit, we found a home that resembled a home that came out of Tabernary before, that belonged to a man or a captain named Hexton, who seems to, according to different visions that we were to occur, have been the man who was trying to gain power and gain strength within hell. We met bizarre allies along the way, though we expected to find nothing but enemies in the entire place. Jericho was very instrumental in making sure that we continued to maintain friendships as we went. And we found ourselves getting to the Ebon Sanctum, a floating tower of redstone alongside a cliffside that was full of cultists, very, very puzzling and difficult to get through, but full of some very needed treasures. Some cursed that we left, and others that were full of aided help. When we passed through the sanctum, we found that there was a new level of hell that we needed to get to, trying to find another source of power of Vestrath, these lava motes, these balls, these spheres of which he gained strength from. In the pursuit of finding that, we went to a deep ocean of lava that had a stone boat floating up top it that was only powered by blood that would allow us to get from one place to another. Jericho again stepped up in front of everybody, donated his blood into hell, and we were able to ride on this ocean of lava to the source of where these lava motes were coming from. We got into an epic battle with a variety of imps and demons that had come back, but unlike every other time when we had fought demons before, these ones stayed dead. They didn't disintegrate. They didn't fall away. They dropped where they were at. And shortly after that battle happened, the lava itself changed. Everything was transformed into water. And one of the things that we had gathered from when we were in the Ebon Sanctum was a particular riddle, a passage that warned us about how to approach Vestrath or how not to. specifically warning the cultists to never approach him directly because his water would be cut off and that they should just meditate on him. So when the water appeared, we had a lot of worry from where we were at. And because it was actually water in actual hell, on the far side of the island that we were on where we fought those imps, there was a small wooden dinghy. Hemlock knew exactly what to do, took over, and kind of led us the way towards a ship in a storm off into the ocean, rather than the cliffside that had a ghost tower or a tower of ghosts that were erupting out of it. So we decided to go towards that storm, following Hemlock's lead, and found a ship. A ship that we've encountered several times over and over again in hell, called Hexton's Hope. It is a large wooden scooter and dinghy, and it showed up in the visions that we had seen, and it seems to have been the same ship that Hexton rode into this level of hell, creating a huge spell in order to do so, and opening up a Terran reality to open up this new world. So here it is again. This time it was abandoned. We all crawled on board, and suddenly the visions started again. We were surrounded by ghost sailors who were in the middle of a squall, and how were we going to get our ways out of it and find safety? A new tear opened up outside of hell. So a tear in reality that would have taken us back to Tabanry. Because we had not yet finished the mission, though, Hemlock decided to steer away from that, creating a huge battle. The ship suddenly disintegrated itself into a ghost ship that was torn apart and decaying and falling apart. There was a huge battle, and the ship itself was destroyed, and we all sank into the water to wake up, not the next day, at least it appeared to be, on some sort of shore. But now, Hexton's Hope was not just a broken ship. It was a part of the land, the water, and the sky. We were surrounded by different versions and varieties of this Hexton's Hope ship. And as we ventured our way deeper and deeper into this island, we found that there was a geyser, some sort of flume of water that seemed to be a huge, massive source of power that was protected by very, very powerful guardians. There was a gigantic demon who was throwing boulders at us. There was an echo of Vestrath himself, who was causing spells against us and doing his best to turn off the geyser and aid the demon soldiers that were there. But the worst of all was that Aguirre had returned. Our dead friend, wrapped up in wire and attacking us, Aguirre. It was almost everything to not break Yannick. He did his best to keep us all alive, which we were failing at, until he called on the power of Carahel. And with a blessing from Carahel that came all the way from her tomes of knowledge down into the halls of hell, the infinite realm of knowledge from where Carahel is from, Yannick created a huge amount of healing, a huge amount of boosts, and with the songs of Jericho keeping everyone else alive, Galen was able to deal a dying blow, and Yannick was able to save the day, and then we finally dove into the geyser before it closed off to make it to the next portal of hell. That happened to be on those Hexton's Hope ships in the sky, where we were floating around in between what appeared to be two different levels of water. There's water above us and water below, while we're somewhere in the sky in the middle. There was definitely gravity, as Galen reminded us over and over again, nearly plummeting to his death with his unsure footing as we continued to fly our way through what these ships would be. Thon, using a spyglass, noticed, then pretty much everyone else noticed as well, that there was a gigantic beast heading towards us with this huge sharp maw, destroying ships in just movement, coming towards us in our own destruction. Yannick remembered a telling that had come to him, a vision that he had seen when the entire ocean of lava turned to water, about a mast and a second mast and an aft of a ship and a bow of a ship and a door, and literally navigated through different boats floating in the air that Dash couldn't understand at all why these were the ways he was going. but he got us out entirely of the ships that were floating in the sky. And we ended up in front of Vestrath. Vestrath himself, of this hell, previously Hexton, of Hexton's Hope, the lord of this realm of hell, who did not have all 6 lava motes keeping him strong and protected. He had 2. And as strong as he was fairly immortal for us to hit him, though he was slowed. And the biggest reason that he was slowed, and we found a weakness in him, was those projection stones. Yannick pulled them out of his bag. Jericho thought quickly and used the projection stones to not just alter Vestrath's reality, but to destroy it. He stabbed the projection stones into the lava motes, knowing good and well that it was probably the last thing he would ever do. And somehow we survived it. Somehow we survived Vestrath and destroyed him in the process. When his reality faded away and broke down from the end of his power, from the end of his hold, we all woke up again back in Tabernary. But not the same Tabernary that we had left. Tabernary had now been changed. It has been updated. It's been several months that we've been gone. It only felt like a week to us, but it turns out it was a huge amount of time. That wall has now been built. It was now winter. Galen's wife left. It was a very different place, and now we are heroes. We are notorious. We are celebrated within the city. And the moment we got back, we all decided that we had business to take care of, including seeing whose family was still there, what tasks were still left. Were they actually building the Temple of Carahel that was our original deal in the first place? And life has carried on without us. There were no more demon attacks. There was certainly shadows of memories of us that were there. Hemlock was a hunted man. Someone had been coming in and hanging wanted posters of him every day until someone could try to cash in on it. And now that we had returned, some thugs absolutely tried to do so, much to their own dismay. They did not expect to die nearly as horrific, I imagine, as they did when they started that day. We met with Mayor Plen, but before we did that, we had a message delivered to us that had been waiting for us for the entire time that we were gone from one Callian Varro of Azamir. Callian Varro sent us a quick message and gave us a means to locate her and to find her. So we went to the mayor's tower, to the top of the Iron Fortress, and were able to speak with her. She let us know that she knows of us and that the fate of Varen, certainly Navarre, might be in our hands. Callian Varro sees the future. She sees different things that may or may not be, and she knows that we are heavily important on keeping some major evil at bay. So she gave us a quest to go to Thave, to find the great evil in the city of Crevorn that may or may not have arrived yet. If it hasn't, stop it from doing so in the next 2 weeks. And if it has, stop it from spreading, whatever that means. She did indicate that some of us may die, and that there was a task and even a favor that we had to do for her. Yannick, knowing that, as the leader of our group, agreed and said that he would do what it takes to make sure that Varen was safe. Dash took the dagger, agreeing to that side quest as well. And then the celebration was coming. Mayor Plen. Plen is now the mayor and wanted to make sure that there was a notoriety, a celebration that we were here, as well as a celebration for the new wall and all the new residents of Tabernary that were a part of that. We agreed to go to that party that night, with the exception of Yannick, who agreed to meet with his fellow priests of Carahel, who are at the temple that's being rebuilt. Jericho does what he did and helped us kind of escape in different levels because Hemlock and Galen had some business to deal with before getting down to the party. And they went and revisited the Oxleys, Jorman and Hebra Oxley, who were instrumental in bringing in those cultists and those demons that were affecting Tabernary before. And it is believed also the ones that have been putting a price on Hemlock's head. After a major confrontation, a lot of bravado back and forth, Galen allowed Hebra to pay for her life. She gave him 500 gold pieces to make a run for it. And Jorman was not so lucky, and he took a bullet in the chest. With business taken care of, the rest of the group went down to join the party. And there were cheers, and there was a large crowd of people celebrating, again, the heroes of Newwall that have just shown up. The Guardians of Tabernary, they started calling the heroes. And there was also a massive gift that was made to the new members of the New Wall, to the Yosoki and to other members of the community to rebuild and to actually start building what was this refugee tent camp area into a new part of Tabernary as a city. But that's not even the most important part. Yannick, who wasn't with us, was back with his priests of Carahel, and after filling out and answering the questions of the 10 truths, I didn't write it down, man. The 10 truths of Carahel, I think.
Tenets.
The 10 tenets of Carahel. He was knighted to Sir Yannick of Carahel, the very first knight of all of Carahel. And he's still dealing with being a living legend in that level. The rest of us also not necessarily comfortable with fame or notoriety. We're about to end and walk off the stage from the applause when someone called out to Galen, making him the top of the information and the lead character in that scene, because Captain Vaynor, his old boss, the character who is the guardian of the city guard, he's the captain of the city guard of Tabernary, refers to Galen as a traitor, as a weakling, and challenges him to a duel to the death right there in Newall in front of everybody. And believe it or not, that's where we left off. So you have come in just the right place while these heroes are still alive to see what happens next. So let the adventure begin.